It is possible to trade football before the off. There are a number of ways of doing it, but one of them is to use team news to trade. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. Click here to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get instant notification of new videos as they're released. So yeah, trading team news is a popular thing to do on football. For quite a few years, nobody really talked that much about it. But it is a good way of participating in the market, and I discovered it by accident because I was trying to trade the markets in a certain way, completely messed up, and thought, well, what went wrong there? And that's when I figured out what had happened. What had actually happened was a couple of key players were not included in the team sheet, and that made the price of the market shift quite dramatically. And we've got an interesting example immediately to hand, which I can show you. And that is the FA Cup third round match between Liverpool and Exeter, or I should say Exeter and Liverpool, because Exeter are at home. And the benefit of this particular example is we have a number of things lining up quite nicely. Now, I was watching the Liverpool match against Stoke, or I should say Stoke against Liverpool, in the Carling Cup during the week. And within 30 minutes, two players had to be substituted because of injuries. And Liverpool already have a lot of injuries. And the interesting thing that occurred in that match is when those two injuries occurred, the price drifted out, and then Liverpool scored, such is life. But the impact that had was significant beyond that particular match, because immediately they had a couple of injuries. I know they've been struggling with injuries. I had a quick look at the number of injuries that they've got at the moment, and then immediately switched over and had a look at what their next match was. And it was against Exeter away in the FA Cup. Now, Exeter are going to throw everything at Liverpool, I pretty much guarantee, or they should do. But it posed an interesting dilemma with Liverpool in terms of, do they field all of their remaining star players, of which there aren't that many given the number of injuries that they've had, or do they put out a different team? Because, hopefully the difference in skill between Exeter and Liverpool should be enough that even if they field a weakened team, they'll probably still win the match. But there's also a bit of interesting psychology going on here as well, because if Klopp puts out a few star players and they get injured as well, that is a major problem. And very often what drives these decisions at key moments like that is that particular type of fear. He'll look an absolute fool if he puts out a top player and he breaks his leg or has a serious injury and can't play for a little bit of time, which will significantly impact the ability of the team to compete in the Premier League. And that's more important. The Premier League is more important. European competition is more important, and so on and so forth. So you would expect a manager to make those decisions. And as soon as the injuries were announced and after the match, all of the press stories came out about the decisions that he was going to make in terms of the team that he was going to field against Exeter. And you can see from the graph that the prices just drifted and drifted and drifted and drifted. And if you go on to the Liverpool fan sites, or whatever team you're looking at in that particular point, you can get an opinion and a view on who these players are and what impact they're going to have, either the injured players or the players that are going to step up and take over from a team in a scenario like this. But it was fairly clear at the point at which those two players are injured that it was going to have an impact on the next match, or it could have an impact on the next match. It doesn't necessarily always have to. And then all of the press that's come around subsequently, and all of the press conferences and so on and so forth, made it, fairly clear that Liverpool were going to field a weakened team. So the price has drifted. It's been a nice drift. And you don't always get that, because obviously depending upon the players that are going to be in or out of the team has a significant impact on the price. And also, don't forget that whatever you were thinking in the run-up to the start of the match, when that team sheet comes out, it could be a completely different team to the one you expected, and therefore the price will move again. So typically you would tend to do a trade like this in anticipation of a broader price move. But as we approach the time when the team sheet is announced, you either have to exit your trade and then have a look at the team and then decide what you're going to do from there, or if you actually still have an open position, you're going to have to make a decision pretty quick as soon as that team news comes out, because that will either confirm what you're doing or deny it. And I learned that from a mistake. I left a position open. The team sheet was completely different from what everybody expected, and the price reverted within about 15 minutes back to where it was, and that was a painful lesson. So yeah, trading team news is a good way of making money before a match has even started. And in this particular example, what's driven the drift on Liverpool is the likelihood that they're going to field a weakened team against Exeter away in the FA Cup. And if you're astute to be able to get involved in that market at the right time, that would have been an absolutely excellent trade. But it also is a great example for you if you want to understand how you should trade football matches before the off. If you're interested in learning more about BetAngel, its tools and the opportunities they present, then why not visit betangel.com today and download a free trial.